SMT Nation, we back nation. The situation with T-Mobile and Dish continues. All right, this squabble, squibble, whatever you want to call it, that's going on between these two companies continues to be an issue. It's a point of contention. It's based on the 800 megahertz spectrum that Dish is entitled to purchase as first buyer from T-Mobile due to the T-Mobile and Sprint merger concessions. Regulators put this into place, right? T-Mobile chose Dish as the fourth carrier. All right, so this is the way this is all structured. All right, now the one thing that is kind of the issue here is that T-Mobile wants to move on. They want to sell the spectrum, $3.6 billion in this transaction. Dish just simply doesn't have the money, right? Dish is trying to build a network to a nationwide scale. They're trying to launch the retail operation of some sort, semblance of one. They've formed, they've done mergers. They've tried to free up capital. They've tried to find investors. They're doing all that they can, right? Their back is up against it. The deal was structured, supposed to enable them to be the new fourth carrier, but things have been really hard for them. And they haven't made stuff easier on themselves either. Okay, so all those factors are in play here. Dish has requested an extension, a 10-month extension, to pay for the spectrum. So it's valued at $3.6 billion. Dish says that they can pay for it, but it's going to need 10 months to do so. The original date to pay for it was in June, I believe, of this year, June or July. So that date has come and gone. They filed for the extension. T-Mobile doesn't want them to have the extension. They've petitioned against it. And now Dish is firing back. And some of the commentary from Dish, seems pretty damning for T-Mobile, right? And it makes sense. They're fighting for their chance to remain viable and have a chance at building out this network and starting their, postpaid wireless business. All right, now when I look at some of the commentary from Dish and what they're saying about T-Mobile here is they kind of, paint them to be the bad guys, right? Quote, T-Mobile's cavalier attitude toward unprecedented interest rate hikes notwithstanding, the global financial turbulence resulted from the COVID-19 pandemic and a war in Europe. I'm assuming they're talking about Ukraine, not foreseeable by Dish when the division commenced this action in mid-2019. But those events have seriously impaired Dish's ability to close the purchase of 800 megahertz spectrum licenses in the near term. So they say they can pay for it. They just say they need more time given all those different factors. Now, those factors are real. Nobody's getting in line to give Dish a loan. All right, things have been hard. It's been hard for them to compete. Their TV business is dying. Those types of things. But when T-Mobile batted back last week and said things like, "Oh, there's all these operating expenses to maintaining the 800 megahertz and this, that, and the third," folks, T-Mobile is a huge company. They're unfazed, by a little bit of money like that. Right, they try to give like a monetary number and like operational cost. It's really not bad for T-Mobile at all. But remember, T-Mobile chose Dish very strategically to be their partner in all of this, and that was because they could always shove their foot into the neck of Dish. Right, they're always going to be sunning them, and that's the way it's played out. Now, there's other entities that want to buy this spectrum. Burns and McDonnell Engineering Company, who knows if that's just going to be treated as holdings or if they're actually going to build an IoT network or whatever the case may be. But folks, I'm telling you, this is going to end up on Dish's side. They're going to get their way, and I'm going to tell you why. I said this before. I will say it again. I said it on another podcast over the weekend as a guest on another show. The regulators, the Department of Justice, has a vested interest in Dish being enabled to find some level of success as a fourth provider because they put this thing together. It was the DOJ, it was the FCC, and it was T-Mobile. They're the ones who did all of this. They constructed it this way. So if it's messy and you don't like it, you shouldn't be mad at Dish. You should be mad at them. You should be mad at the DOJ. You should be mad at T-Mobile. You should be mad at the FCC. Anybody other than Dish, and I'm going to tell you why. Dish will only get away with what they can. There will come a point where they can no longer get away with stuff, right? But the problem here is that T-Mobile not willing to play nice makes them look like the bad guy. I'm surprised that T-Mobile doesn't see it and understand it. Now, it's not to say that Dish should be forgiven. It's not to say that Dish is perfect and culpable here. They definitely are. But folks, there is a vested political interest in the DOJ finding a way to make Dish somewhat of a winner in some way, shape, or fashion. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to be granted that extension. And I don't think there's anything that T-Mobile can say or do about it. And, you know, pretty much everything has gone T-Mobile's way for many, many years. The Metro acquisition, the Sprint merger, the failed merger with AT&T, the money, the spectrum, the lease agreement, the roaming agreement, everything has worked out to their advantage. For once ever, something doesn't go their way and they throw a big stink. Like, let's be honest here. This is actually a joke, right? You want to talk about 2 drops in a bucket? Like, this is absolutely infinitesimal to T-Mobile. But of course, you know, they're going to turn an anthill into a mountain or something. I don't know, whatever. In my opinion, I just say let Dish die on their own, right? If that's their fate, that's their fate. I'm not in the business of supporting these companies in any way, shape, or form, but I've always wanted to preserve competition within the marketplace and get a fourth network to replace a flailing Sprint that basically enabled T-Mobile, who is not just, nice to everybody, right? They have proven to be pretty nasty within the industry. What do you guys say? Love to hear what you have to say on this. You are the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. Like, share, and subscribe for more. Turn on the bell notifications to never miss an upload. You want to support the channel. It's hard in these YouTube streets. You could support us. The links are in the description. Become a member, a patron. Support us in some way, shape, or form. We appreciate that. Big salute to the nation. We out this piece. Peace.